2026. Unusual from always, today we've started a little earlier. We usually have a time of 11 a.m. But you may take note that today we have two competing priorities. We have to release the inflation as per our release calendar, because we release inflation every last working day of the month. And you couldn't change that schedule. But again, you may recall that we also released the release calendar for our reports. And we said every Thursday, we will be releasing a report. So coincidentally, today we are having two disseminations. Because the CPI date is 30th, the last working day, and again it is a Thursday, where we decided to release a report for every Thursday, as we have always been doing for the past month. So, today we're starting at 10 a.m., and we are going to have only consumer price index for now, and then after consumer price index, we'll be releasing the aquaculture census report. So allow us to begin now because of time, and as I've earlier mentioned, we are having two disseminations. So we don't want to eat up on any other time. So today we're going to be having Mr. Samuel Echoku, the head of department, economic statistics. He's going to be giving us findings from the inflation for the month and year ending April 2026. Without any further ado, allow me welcome Sam to give us an impression of how inflation has been trending in this month and year ending April 26. Sam, you are welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, but I'm head of department macroeconomic statistics, and I'm here to present to you the CPI for end of year, April, and for the month of April. So that is what we have for this month, for the year ending this month. The annual headline inflation for Uganda, we're registering it at 3.0%, which is slightly higher than what we had for the year ending March, which was 2.8%. And going into the details, we have the annual core inflation, which was one of the main causes of that higher up movement. In April, it was up by 3.0% compared to the year ending March, when it was up by 2.9%. And looking at the drivers for that annual core inflation, we had the annual services inflation, which is up 4.1% compared to 4.0% for the year ending March 2026. And then the annual core goods inflation, this registered the 2.0%, which was the same we registered for the year ending March 2026. The drivers for the annual services inflation. We had passenger transport service inflation charges, which are up by 4.2% for the year ending April, compared to 0.6% for the year ending March 2026. And then we also have the restaurants, cafes, and the like inflation charges, which was up 4.1% in April compared to the year ending March, which was 3.8%. The drivers, what were the drivers for the annual core goods inflation? We had fish and seafood inflation charges that were up 9.1% for the year ending April 2026, compared to 2.6% for the year ending March 2026. Live chicken inflation charges up by 4.0, to register the 4.0% for April 2026, compared to the minus 0.3% drop for the year ending March 2026. Cassava flour price changes also registered 0.4% increase for April 2026, the year ending, compared to the drop of 5.0% for the year ending March 2026. And then cement, we've also seen a rise of 0.7% for the year ending April 2026, compared to the minus 2.5% change that we registered for the year ending March 2026. Annual headline inflation continued. Looking at the annual food crops and the rated items inflation, we had a 0.6%, we have a 0.6% increase for the year ending April 2026, compared to the 1.0% for the year ending March 2026. So it's a slower increase. The drivers for food crops and related items inflation. Here we have tomato price changes. We have a minus 18.7% for the year ending April 2026, compared to the minus 13.0% for the year ending March 2026. It is a higher slowing of the price change. That's fresh beans price changes. We have minus 13.3% for the year ending April 2026, compared to what we had in March of minus 1.0%. The drivers for annual food crops and related items inflation. We have brown potatoes, Irish potato price changes. For the year ending April 2026, we registered a 6.7% increase, compared to the 10.9% increase we registered for the year ending March 2026. Green cabbage price changes also registered 17.9% increase for the year ending April 2026, compared to the 24.3% for the year ending March 2026. Sweet potatoes, we registered a minus 1.3% for the year ending April 2026, compared to 0.7% increase for the year ending March 2026. Looking at annual energy, fuel, and utilities inflation, we have a 6.1% increase for the year ending April 2026, compared to the 4.1% increase for the year ending March 2026. And in particular, petrol price changes, we had a 8.7%, we have a 8.7% for the year ending April 2026, compared to what we had in March of 4.4%. Diesel, we have 10.8% increase for the year ending April 2026, compared to the 3.0% that we had for March. Kerosene, 7.5% increase for the year ending April 2026, compared to the 0.1% that we had for the year ending March 2026. And also charcoal price changes. We had a 9.0% compared to the 8.1% for the year ending March. 9.0% in April compared to the 8.1% for the year ending March 2026. In summary, that is what we had for the headline, core, other goods and services, and then the food crops and related items, and energy, fuel, and utilities. So those are the groups we have been looking at and going into the details of what the drivers were in the specific groups. And over the years, for the 12 months since March last year, that is how we have been, the inflation we have been registering. And the highest we had was in September 2025, for the year ending September at 4.0%. And the lowest was for the year ending last month, which was at 2.8%. Looking at the annual changes in the consumer price indices for the COICOP divisions, that is what we had. The percentage change between March 2025 and March 2026, and then that annual change of between April 2025 and April 2026. I think you look at it at your appropriate time. You can see the rates are not very different. They are close. Now we go to the monthly consumer price index. Beginning with the monthly headline inflation, this month of April, we have registered a 0.6% price increase compared to inflation compared to March 2026. And in March, we had a 0.1% inflation rate. The monthly core inflation in April is at 0.5%, up from March figure of 0%. In March, the prices were stable compared to February. Overall, when you measure it in terms of inflation, it was stable. And the drivers for the core monthly inflation, we had mainly the services inflation, and then also the core goods inflation. Now the services inflation in April, we registered a 0.5% increase when compared to March. And then in March, we registered a 0.1% increase. Core goods inflation in April, we registered 0.5% increase. And in March, it was a negative 0.1%. What were the services for the monthly service inflation drivers? Restaurants, cafes, and the like, inflation charges up 0.5% this month of April compared to the zero stable rate for March 2026. Passenger transport service inflation charges this month we have registered an increase of 2.6% compared to the 0.2% that we had last month. Monthly other goods inflation drivers, we have beef and beef prices and meat and beef prices at 2.0% for April compared to 1.3% for March. Maize flour prices, 1.7% increase in April compared to the 0.6% decrease in March. Rice prices increased by 1.8% in April compared to the increase of 0.9% in March 2026. Then the fish and other seafood inflation changes. In April, we registered a 2.9% increase for that group compared to the minus 2.9% we registered in March. Looking at the monthly food crops and related items inflation in that category, April registered a 0.9% increase compared to the 0.3% increase for March. And what were the drivers for the monthly food crops and related items inflation? Dried beans prices was one of the drivers, and this one's increased by 2.5% in April compared to the 1.0% in March. Matoke prices, this one's increased by 8.6% in April compared to the drop we had last month, so March, of 1.0%. Onion prices increased by 3.0% in April 2026 compared to the drop of 5.3% we had last month. Cassava, the fresh cassava, prices increased by 3.4% compared to the drop of 1.4% in March. Monthly energy, fuel, and utilities inflation. Overall, we have seen an increase of 1.8% compared to the March increase of 1.0%. And specifically looking at the items in this category, fuel price changes for the months of April 2026, petrol price changes for the month of 2026 were at 4.2% compared to the March, which was at 0.8%. Diesel price changes for the month of April were at 8.2% compared to the 2.3% for March. Kerosene, we have seen the price change by 6.9% for the month of April compared to the 0.1% for the month of March. Charcoal, we're seeing an increase of 1.0% for the month of April, which is slightly lower than the 1.6% we registered in March 2026. And then firewood, we have registered 0.8% price change for the month of April compared to the 3.5% we had in March. Overall, monthly CPI and rates of inflation are there for the last 12 months, for the last 1 year, plus 2 months or so. So they have ranged between minus 0.1 and the current one, what you have registered now, the 0.6. I think you'll get copies of that if you want to internalize. You look at them. And the monthly average retail prices of selected commodities, that is how they have behaved. We have seen a consistent increase in beef, which has now reached 18.054 from March last year when we had it at 16,664. We have also seen a consistent increase in mukene, rice. I think it's tilapia is where we have seen a drop now compared to the same period last year. And yeah, that's how the average prices have behaved in the last 12 months of these selected commodities. The annual headline inflation by CPI Geographical Center, which ones have been highest, which one was the lowest? Masaka registered the highest inflation of 4.1%. This is annual for the 12 months to April 2026, compared to 3.6% that was recorded for the year ending March 2026. And this was mainly driven by the annual food and non-alcoholic beverages inflation that increased to 1.8% for the year ending April 2026 compared to 1.8% in March 2026. In addition, annual transport inflation increased to 5.0% in April compared to 3.9% in March. Kampala high income at 3.8% for the 12 months to April 2026 compared to the 3.3% recorded in March 2026, came as number 2. This was mainly driven by annual transport inflation that increased to 4.5% in April 2026 compared to the 2.1% for the ending March 2026. In addition, annual food and non-alcoholic beverages inflation increased to 5.3% compared to 4.6% registered in March 2026. Mbale at 1.0% for the 12 months to April 2026 compared to 1.0% in March 2026 registered the least annual increase in terms of from the geographical centers. And this was mainly driven by annual food and non-alcoholic beverage inflation that registered minus 0.3% for the year ending April compared to 0.3% registered for the year ending March 2026. So same rate. In addition, annual restaurants and accommodation services inflation registered minus 1.1% in April compared to 0.5% registered in March 2026. Graphically, that is how the different geographical centers behaved. We've already talked of Kampala high income, Masaka, and Mbale. And then that's how the others behaved. I think you'll get copies of that and you'll be able to look at them and internalize. The next release will be on Friday, 29th May 2026. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Bwana Sam, for the record. And for the record, for your reporting, he's Mr. Samuel Echoku, Head of Department, Macroeconomic Statistics. So we need to get that right as we are reporting. Thank you so much for the report. May we share the handouts with the press so they can a little synthesize and then react to this presentation. We note there are changes, at least some high things in the general impression of inflation, and you may need to react. In the meantime, I'll call upon Bwana Sam along with his team to take the front seats so that these people can react to your presentation and ask any questions or clarification, if any. So Sam and team, you can step up to the front. Time is now for the plenary. If there is anything you want to seek clarity on, if there is any question or reaction, you can do it now. And after the reactions, we'll be going into the Uganda session, which will be given unto us by Mr. Magoma Godfrey. Blair? Oh, wow. There are some questions behind from the other gentleman. If you have a question, please shoot up your hand, and then it will be noted and reacted to.
Thank you very much, sir. I am Henry Baguma, UBC Radio. I'm sorry, I just wanted a simplified language for our listeners. Inflation, exactly what does it mean? 2, is it a bad situation in the country as we speak now?
Thank you, Bwana Baguma. You will be ably responded to. Any other reaction? Or the presentation was so precise and clear? Where is Martin? I saw him coming. Martin, everything is okay? Because at least Martin always has something in between there that he really needs to expand on. Rose, is your hand up?
Thank you. My name is Rose. I work with Radio 1. I would like to know the attributes of the consistency in the increase in prices of beef, mokene, and rice. Thank you.
Have we got it? Can we respond to those as you... Okay, there is another one up front here. Maybe put that hand up that you can be seen.
All right, thank you. Good morning. My reaction is on the prices of charcoal.
Your name and station, please.
Luanga Derek, Hope Channel, over Hope TV. My reaction is on the charcoal prices changes in the firewood. I'm wondering, as many things are increasing, these ones are just going down, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to be enlightened on how these changes are coming.
The team has noted that, and they will ably respond to it. Do you have another hand up? If to the contrary, I will ask the team to respond to those so far, and if any comes up after, then we will take it on. Let the technocrats handle
I think I'll first give my team here, then I'll come in at the end if need be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I'll start with the last question. If I got it right, you are trying to say that charcoal is going down. Is it right? If that is the case, from the presentation, it shows clearly that when you look at even on annual, charcoal prices are going up. Because when on annual, it's suggested at 9.0 from the 8.1. That shows an increase. That's on annual. When you look at monthly, still we are showing a 1.0. Remember, when we are talking about monthly, so long as it's an increase, it's a positive figure, that shows it's an increase. It's on top of what we registered last month, the 1.6. It's an addition now that has increased by 1.0. So it shows that the prices are still going up either way. So in monthly, the prices are going up, and equally on annual, they are going up. Is that okay? You talked about, someone asked about, that was Rosie from Radio 1, the consistent increase on beef, rice, and mukene. One, when we go out to collect these prices, we'll pick the price as per what is on the market. Now, what normally determines the price is the supply. If the supply is low, then the dealers equally will increase the prices because the demand is high. If the demand is equally higher than the supply, that leads to the increase in prices. So most of these items, the supply has reduced, maybe for beef, and equally for the rice, and the demand has increased, and mukene. But you remember, there is an ongoing ban on mukene fishing, which was recently announced. So it could also be leading to the reduced supply, leading to the increase in prices for mukene. And rice, remember the transportation from where most of the rice which we are having now is coming from one neighboring country, that is Tanzania. So it could also be some effect of the costs in transporting it, which is leading to the increase in the prices and the supply, the reduced supply. I hand over the mic to handle the first
one. Okay, before I handle the first one, I'll just chip in maybe on the one of Derek. As he has talked, as my colleague, Mr. Magoma has talked, the issue of demand and supply. We have those laws still applying. I'm sure we studied them. So you find things like charcoal and firewood. The supply is not a big problem in this country yet. It's not. So even when the price goes up, it's not usually more to do with another factor. Maybe the weather, maybe the what, than to do with the supply. So Uganda, Uganda is a supply constrained economy country, as opposed to some of the developed countries where it is demand, so they can stimulate demand. They can intervene to stimulate the demand, as opposed to us, whereby you have to look at how to increase the supply. But for that one, it is okay. It is not very constrained in terms of supply, charcoal and firewood. The issue of how, Mr. Baguma, how to explain inflation to the community. Because if you start explaining and talking of average price, I don't know whether any of us has the word average in our vernacular. No, these are words just came in the classroom here. But maybe you'd tune it down and say the general price increase. Because once you are going to say the average increase in prices of the basket of goods, I don't know if it becomes easier for the common person to understand. So it is, though sometimes they say inflation is a persistent increase in the price level, the general price level of that basket of goods that you have selected. I thought you'd chip in. You normally it translates to Uganda so that you can coin it out. How does it tell the people in Uganda? In the inflation, maybe he can translate and we also get his version. But I don't want to talk about bad situation or how bad the situation is, because this is a bit, it will be just subjective. The situation is not bad. Yes, prices might be going up here and there, but on the average, you have seen the increase is so far 3.0% for the year ending April, and 0.6% for the month. Okay, that 0.6 is maybe what is bring this idea of how bad it is, because it is the highest in the last 12 months, but it's not very out of the norm. Yeah. I think the situation of consistency was handled, but one of the factors that contributes to this was from Ross, the issue of price increase in beef consistently since last March. There has been various factors. One of them has been, of course, the supply, and then they also respond to other price changes. If the price of, say, fuel goes up and the transport rate goes up, so does the price of the some of these items, commodities. So I think all the questions have been handled, unless we have another lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm called Tarema Johnson from Spy Reports. When you see on page 8, table 6, information and communication, it is always 0.00.0. That means it has not changed. But when you got rates of communication, airtime, data, the prices have increased. Why has it remained at 0.0 to 0.0? Then also the same page, education services, March 26, 0.0, April 26, 0.0. Yet we can see there is high increase of school fees. We want more light on that one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll handle that of education. Why are we registering a 0? You'll notice when it comes to education, we normally collect education once every term, because we pay, even when you are paying school fees, you pay at the beginning of the term and it goes. So we paid at the beginning of, that was, I think, February, March, that we don't consider any school fees. Because if you have paid in February, then you not pay in March, you not pay in April, it will be the same. the children will be at school until they'll get their holidays. So we are now preparing, because the children have just gotten, or they are getting their holidays. Now maybe we shall be having now changes, or if any, when the term for second term begins, that's when we expect to have the changes in education.
Okay. If you can notice, table 6 is their monthly changes, short-term monthly changes. So information and communication includes items like data bundles, items in communication. Okay? So the 0.0 means the prices did not change in the last 1 month. Not that they have never changed. They didn't change in the last 1 month. That's the meaning of the 0.0.
So the information and communications is a group. It's a group. I think we even have some handsets, some equipment. It's not only the data and the airtime. It's a group. You need to look at what are all the things inside it. Then before you arrive at that average. Yeah, thank you.
I realize, away from what has been responded to, everything else is very clear, since there is no other hand that is being shot up in reaction. If to the contrary, any other reaction? I guess not. Thank you so much, Sam and team, for that precise presentation. Since we promised that we'll give you a Uganda version of the same, allow me welcome Mr. Magoma Godfrey, a senior statistician with Uganda Bureau of Statistics, to give us the Uganda version of the inflation. Emiwendo gy'ebintu gikyuse gitya mu mwezi ogwokuna era mu mwaka oguggwako mu mwezi ogwokuna ng'ogeraageranyiza nga bwe kyali mu mwaka oguwedde. Mr. Magoma, you have the floor.
Okay, neyanziza nnyo ate nziramu okubaaniriza olw'okujja nga tubawaabye tujje mu kunoonyereza naddala nga tunulira ku mbeera nga bweri ku miwendo ku bintu ebiri wano mu Uganda bye tugula. Nja kuba ntandikira nga ntunulira ku bbanga ery'omwaka gwe tumalako kati mwezi guno gwokuna, okutegeeza nti tujja kuba ntunulira emyezi 12 okuva mu gwokuna 2025 okutuuka ogwokuna 2026. Bw'otunuulira ku bbanga eryo, emiwendo kati okutwaliza wamu giri ku bitundu 3 wano mu Uganda, bw'obigeraageranya bwe byali mu mwezi ogwokusatu bwe byali ku bitundu 2.8. Bwe tugenda mu maaso okulaba ku bibinja ebivaamu emiwendo gye tubawadde, nga mwe muli ekibinja kye tuyita COA, kati kiri ku bitundu 3 mwezi guno gwokuna gwe tumalako lwaleero, bw'obigeraageranya bwe byali ku bitundu 2.9 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwe tunuulira mu bujjuvu ebibinja ebivaamu ekibinja kya COA, nga bino mulimu ebibinja 2, mulimu ekibinja kya services kyempeereza ate n'ekibinja kya other goods. Otunulira ku kibinja ky'ebyempeereza katuzite services, kati kiri ku bitundu 4.1 okuva bwe byali ku bitundu 4 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. ate ekibinja kya kowa kyo kiri ku bitundu 2 okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 2 nga bwe kyali omwezi ogwokusatu 2026. Bwetunulira ku bintu ebiri mu bibinja bino ebibiri nga tutandikidde ku kibinja eky'ebyempeereza, twasanze nti ebyentambula byalinnye n'ebitundu 4.2 okuva bwe byali ku bitundu 6 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Ate era n'ebyempeereza mu bifo ebirirwamu emmere nabyo byalinnye n'ebitundu 4.1 kuva bwe byali ku bitundu 3.8 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwetutunulira ku kibinja ekyokubiri ekya kowa goods, twasanze nti ekibinja ky'ebyennyanja oba ebyennyanja byalinnye n'ebitundu 9.1 kuva byali ku bitundu 2.6 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Ate enkoko ezigulwa ennamba mu katale nga tezinaba kusalibwa nazo zaalinnye n'ebitundu 4 kuva bwe zaali zisse n'ebitundu 3. Ate emmere ya mwogo, akawunga ka mwogo kaalinnye n'ebitundu 4 okuva bwe kaali kasse n'ebitundu 5 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Ate ne tujjayo cement naye yalinnye n'ebitundu 7 okuva bwe yali asse n'ebitundu 2.5 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwetunulira ku kibinja ekinene ekivaamu era byembawadde headline nga kye kibinja ky'emmere n'ebigenderako, kati kibinja kino kiri ku obutundu 6 kuva bwe kyali kitundu 1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu, nga bw'olaba nti kyalinnye naye nga ate sipiidi kyalinyiddeko yasseemukko. Ng'ekyaleese ekyo ye kubeera nti twabadde n'ebintu nga ennyaanya nga nnyingi nnyo zayongedde okukka n'ebitundu 18.7 okuva bwe zaali zisse n'ebitundu 13. Byayongedde okukka n'ebitundu 13.8 okuva bwe byali bisse n'ekitundu 1. Ate ne tulaba obumonde nabwo buli kati ku bitundu 6 n'ebitundu 7 kuva bwe byali ku bitundu 10.9. Ate cabbage naye yasseemu kati ali ku bitundu 17.9 okuva ku bitundu bwe kyali ku bitundu 24.3. Ate emmere lumonde obandiise omuganda naye yasse n'ekitundu 1.3 okuva bwe yali alinnye n'obutundu 7 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwetunulira ku kibinja eky'amafuta, amazzi n'amasannyalaze, kati kiri ku bitundu 6.1 okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 4.1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Kiraga nti bw'otunulira ku bintu ebyo olaba nti birinnye kuva ku 4 bidda ku 6. Nga kisingidde ddala bitwajjeeyo mulimu amafuta ga petro, kati gaali ku bitundu 8.7 okuva bwe gaali ku bitundu 4.4. Diesel ali ku bitundu 10.8 kuva bwe yali ku bitundu 3. Ate amafuta ag'ettaala gali ku bitundu 7.5 okuva bwe gaali ku katundu 1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Ate n'amanda nga tukozesa mu kufumba waka nago gaalinnye ku bitundu 9 okuva bwe gaali ku bitundu 8 n'akatundu 1. Awo tubadde tutunulidde ku bbanga ery'emyezi 12 katugiyite annual. Kati bwe tutunulira ku bbanga eryo kumpi nga tugenda kutunulira nga tugeraageranya ku mwezi guno ogwokuna gwe tumalako olwaleero, bugeraageranya ne bwe byali mu mwezi ogwokusatu omwaka 2026. Kati emiwendo okutwaliza wamu girinnye n'obutundu 6 bwe bigeraageranya bwe byali mu mwezi ogwokusatu nga byalinnya n'akatundu 1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwe tunulira ku kibinja kya kowa yalinnye n'obutundu 5 okuva byali ku 0 katugite stable nga tetuseemu terinnye atitesse mwezi ogwokusatu. Tunulira ku bibinja ebirikola biva mu kowa kikyempereza kyalinnye n'ebitundu obutundu 5 okuva bwe kyali kirinnye n'akatundu kamu, ate kowa naye n'alinnya n'obutundu 5 okuva bwe yali asse n'akatundu kamu mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Tujjeeyo nga tugenze kutunulira nnyo mu bibinja bino, era twajjeeyo ebyempereza mu bifo ebirirwamu emmere nga byalinnye n'obutundu 8 okuva byali ku 0 mu mwezi ogwokusatu, ate n'ebyentambula nabyo ne birinnya n'ebitundu 2 n'obutundu 6 okuva bwe byali ku butundu 2 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Butunulira ku kibinja kya dakowa, bintu bye tusinza okujjayo, tujjeeyo ennyama ey'ente eri ku bitundu 2 okuva byali ku kitundu 1 n'obutundu 3, ate akonga ka kasooli kalinnye n'ekitundu 1 n'obutundu 7 okuva bwe kali kasse n'obutundu 6, ate omuceere nagwo gwalinnye n'ekitundu 1 n'obutundu 8 okuva bwe gwali ku butundu 9, ate n'ebyennyanja byalinnye n'ebitundu 2 n'obutundu 9 okuva byali bisse n'ebitundu 2 n'obutundu 9 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Bwe tunulira ku kibinja ekinene eky'emmere, tukisanze nti mu mwezi guno ogwokuna kirinnye n'obutundu 9 okuva bwe kyali kirinnye n'ebitundu 3 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Nga bino bye tusinze okujjayo mu kibinja ekyo, tusanze nti ebijanjalo ebikalu byalinnye n'ebitundu 2 n'obutundu 5 okuva byali birinnye n'ekitundu 1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Amatooke galinnye n'ebitundu 8 n'obutundu 6 okuva bwe gali gasse n'ekitundu 1. Obutungulu bwalinnye n'ebitundu 3 okuva bwe bwali busse n'ebitundu 5 n'obutundu 3, ate emmere ya muwogo yalinnye n'ebitundu 3 n'obutundu 4 okuva bwe yali asse n'ekitundu 1 n'obutundu 4 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Tugenda okutunulira ku kibinja ekisembera ddala mu mwezi nga tugeraageranya omwezi ogwokuna n'omwezi ogwokusatu mu mwaka 2026, kyekibinja eky'amafuta amazzi n'amasannyalaze kye twandiise mu bufunze EFU. Kati ekibinja kino kiri ku kitundu 1 n'obutundu 8 okuva bwe kyali ku kitundu 1 mu mwezi ogwokusatu. Nga bye tusinze okujjayo, tusanze amafuta ga petro galinnye n'ebitundu 4 n'obutundu 2 okuva bwe gali galinnye n'obutundu 8. Diesel yalinnye n'ebitundu 8 n'obutundu 2 okuva bwe yali alinnye n'ebitundu 2 n'obutundu 3. Ate amafuta g'ettaala galinnye n'ebitundu 6 n'obutundu 9 okuva bwe gali galinnye n'akatundu kamu. Amanda agafumbi ge tukozesa okufumba waka galinnye n'ekitundu 1 okuva bwe gali galinnye n'ekitundu 1 n'obutundu 6. Ate enku nazo ne zirinnya n'obutundu 8 okuva bwe zalinnya n'ebitundu 3 n'obutundu 5. Waliwo ekifaananyi ekisigiddwa nga kiraga ebintu ebimu bye tutegezaako kubajjirayo mu ngeri emiwendo gye gitambula. Bw'oba otunuulidde omwaka 2025 omwezi ogwokusatu ne omwaka omwezi ogwokuna 2026 n'egyo emirala, olabira ddala ekifaananyi nga bwe kiri nga kikuwa embeera nga bw'eri. Olabira ddala nti ennyama yongedde okulinnya, omuceere bw'ogeraageranya March oba omwezi ogwokusatu n'ogwokuna, olabira ddala nti ebintu bino birinnye. Ennyama erinnye, omuceere gulinnye, mukene alinnye, ebyennyanja talapia alinnye, obunga bwa kasooli bulinnye. Kati bw'otunuulira ku petro omwezi ogwokusatu twalina gaali ku 15,000 mu 158 kati gali ku 15,428 yerita y'amafuta aga petro okutwaliza awamu. Kino mukitwale nti tetutunulira petrol station emu naye emiwendo gino tugijja ku petrol station ez'enjawulo then tufunamu omugatte gwe tuba tubawa on average. Ne diesel bw'otunulira naye ate irinnye omwezi ogwokusatu yali ku 14,831 kati ali ku 15,222. Ekifaananyi ekyo osobola okyetunulira n'okiraba n'okyekenneenya bulungi. Bwe tunulira ebifo gye tujja emiwendo gyaffe kisanze nti Masaka yasinze okubeera n'emiwendo egya waggulu nekuddako ekifo kye tutwala nga Kampala high income ate ekifo ky'Embale kye kyasinze okuba n'emiwendo egya wansi okugera bw'otunulira ku bifo bye tujjamu emiwendo gyaffe. Njagala kubebaza lw'okujja ate n'okubebaza obukakkamu ebyo bisobodde okubawa mu bufunze okuva mu kunoonyereza kwe twakoze nga tumalako omwezi guno ogwokuna 2020. Mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala. Tujja kuddamu okubawa bye tujjeyo lunaku lijja kuba Lwakutaano nga 29 omwezi ogwokutaano mwaka 2026. Mbagaliza olunaku olulungi.
Webale nnyo webale ddala mukulu Magoma. Ndowooza kitegerekese bulungi. Waliwo alina kyagamba? Tewali. Kale mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala. Tunaddamu okusinkana omulundi omulala nga 29 ogwokutaano. Ladies and gentlemen, as I earlier mentioned, I'll call on now Sir John Igumira to tell us what is going to happen in the next 20 minutes. John, you have the floor. All right, as I earlier mentioned, we are having two releases.